Hey traders, this is Taylor with Top Pick Trading. I want to give you guys your Wednesday chart review. It's Wednesday, July 17th, 2024, and this will be our lesson for the day. I'm trading the ES 2000 tick chart. I have two variants of this. The first one is with the box on your data series settings on Ninjatrader with break at end of day checked, and one without. This just gives us a different cycle of bars. So we're going to review both charts today. So let's get started. Crazy downhill day today. We had this large move down from the overnight, and then it turned into this really big spike in channel right here. Several good trades today. Many good shorts. I wouldn't take any long on a day like today unless you really are confident in a range, but either way, it's still moving down, so I didn't mark any longs today. So let's get started on looking at all these short possibilities. So we had the big move through the overnight. We get this break, and we get a new low. This micro downtrend gets a new low as well. 8 o'clock comes right in here. We get the second entry short right here, but it's right into that EMA, and it looks like your smaller downtrend has a break and new low right here. So I didn't mark this one. You do get a lower high possibility, but it's massive by the time it closes. I wouldn't take engulfing on this one just due to the congestion right in here. So unfortunately, no setup there. It comes down, makes a new low. We get this move back up, break, new high. Just kind of chopping around that EMA. You can see this resistance area holding. We get this move right here. Since it's so bearish, we can start playing the range rules to the downside. So we broke out here. We come back. We get a first entry long, second entry long failure. Also a first entry short, second entry short. A little bit congested in there, but with the overall bias and turning off this resistance area after your uptrend's played out, I think you can consider this trade right here. This local micro downtrend is probably going to want to get a retest. You can see that it does there. And after this big move here, we obviously have a short bias. So we're looking for reasons to get short. It does get the new low. It comes back up, break new high. You get this bar way away from the EMA, but it made a new high, and you don't have this spike in channel just yet. If you had it off the lows here, maybe you saw it, but it's just a second touch. I'd wait for a lower high, and it comes here, but unfortunately no bar. Pushes lower. We get this really strong move here. Everything so far from the EMA. This is the only good bar off the key entry point, but it's still just a first entry and in some congestion, so I wouldn't take that. Pushes lower, bounces perfectly off this lower side. Pushes up, you get a break, new high. Nothing through here. This move up was pretty strong. So just let that deplete and see if we get something back below the EMA. We push lower here. This is actually maybe like this. Just a bunch of first entries to a new low. Comes back up. We fall over into this range here. Fortunately, no setups that I see. You get this second entry short right here, but the bar's massive and it's closing right into that midline, so no setup there in my opinion. It is a triple test or really a quad test, but just kind of risky with the bar size and where it closes. It does work. It pushes lower, chops sideways. Kind of hard to know what's going on here. The EMA is holding, but there doesn't appear to be a more local channel in play. We get this higher low here, pushes higher. If this was a regular range day, maybe you consider this trade, but on such a downhill day, I wouldn't mark it. And at the time, it does appear like your range is right here. It ends up being a little bit lower. There's just two different little support levels that are holding intermediately. Pushes higher. We get this second entry short here, and it is off this more local channel right here, but just kind of hard to know with the size of that bar closing near that EMA. So I get it if you took that, but a little risky for me. If it closed up in here, maybe. But I personally didn't take that one with the higher highs we're making. It does work, pushes lower. Just chopping sideways here. Notice we're finding this resistance level again. And right here we come back, we get a first entry long, second entry long failure. It's not really a second entry short, but just turning off that resistance, giving this nice bar. Works nicely. This one actually fooled me right here. I took this trade as a triple test, but you can see that setup bar is just the wrong color. It's right in this congestion. This bar is a lot stronger, so I think this one's okay. It works lower, break, new low, bounces at this level again, comes up, and you get this perfect second entry right here. I was a little bit afraid in real time just because I had this, but you got to draw these channels, these counter trend channels on such a large bias day tighter. So it gets the break new high, turns perfectly off that channel again, also at the resistance, perfect bar. It's a great trade. Pushes lower, All this stuff's into the range lows, so I wouldn't take any of this. Comes back here, second entry, bad bar. You get this lower high, but it's closing pretty low, and now it looks like we may have an overshoot of this channel. It's not obvious at the time. It ends up looking like it may be a little bit lower, and we get the overshoot later, but it's just difficult to know that in real time. This is all really choppy. I wouldn't take anything through here. We come up here, we get this second entry. A little bit tempting, but it's just the second turn off this resistance. We're not back to the key entry point yet. You also have 3 bullish bars here, closing on or near their high. So you could have gotten a small scalp, but I wouldn't take that. You come back, you get this lower high. This one's pretty tempting, but once again, kind of a similar reason as earlier. I was a little bit afraid of something like this. It actually looks pretty decent, but you usually need to err on the side of caution, so that's the reason I didn't mark this one. But like I said earlier, a lot of times these end up being tighter with earlier breaks. So if you took that off that key entry point, once again, I understand. You come back, you get this failure. Fortunately, it's into the EMA. It is at that resistance level, so if you took that one as well, I get it. So both of these are maybes, this lower high and this failure, but just to see if we get something better. Pushes lower, we get a break, we get a second entry, but it's right into this resistance, or support, excuse me, and it's very congested, so I wouldn't take that. This uptrend also doesn't have a new high. Comes up, you get this nice bar here off the resistance, the key entry point, but now it looks like it's definitely an overshoot. It's also very congested. It would have worked, but let's see if we push lower first, and we do end up pushing lower. We come back and we get this second entry off that key entry point, so it's still holding even after the overshoot. This has confirmed it right here as really a third turn after the overshoot, because we turned here once, twice, third time, so it's off that resistance as well. It is into the EMA, so it's a little riskier in my opinion, but I think it's decent. We come back now, we get the lower high confirming this channel, and I like this trade a lot. It works nicely. Drops lower. You get a failure here, but it's right into that support, so I don't like that one. You don't have very much room. Drops lower, and then we chop higher through here. I don't see much through here to take. Notice we came up short of the lower side, so it makes sense that we broke this golden channel here. Comes up, it looks like it breaks this possible bigger channel that has been holding through here. We came up short here, so it makes sense that it would break. But let's see if we continue after the break, continue to the downside, and you can see that we do. We get this first entry long, second entry long failure. Tempting, but into that support level, it doesn't trigger anyway. Then we get this lower high, and if you watch this form, it was instant rejection off this level, closing just below that resistance line. So I like that trade. Drops lower. Oops. We get this second entry short, but unfortunately it closes very large, so no setup there. Drops lower, bounces at the support again, pushes higher. We get the second leg up to a new high, and then we push a third time. This is a little bit of a higher high here, and it's just a first entry, but playing that range rule there, far from the EMA on such a bearish day, you may consider that one. Nice bar, pretty far from the EMA. So yeah, that one ends up working nicely. A little bit riskier just because the contact's not quite as clear, but on such a bearish day, you can take some chances. So that one's pretty decent, and it's just 2 minutes after 3:30. So if you take that, I understand. So yeah, overall, very bearish. Let's take a look at the second chart. So here's the second chart. Not as many setups today. Still a fair amount and some decent ones in different locations. So let's take a look at this one. So we had the same move down. We get the break, new low. This also appears like it played out, but on such a bearish day, we can probably consider at least getting a second leg to a new low. So we got this one. It does have the break, new low. Come up, get a second entry. Not a good bar. We get this lower high here. It's a little bit tempting, so I marked it green. Still kind of congested in there, and your more local stuff's played out. But like I said, on such a bearish day, you can take some chances. So nice little bar off the EMA. I think that one's okay. A little bit riskier for the reasons I mentioned though. Pushes higher, break new high. We're just chopping sideways through here. I don't see anything. We come up. We get the second touch off this larger spiking channel, but it's not confirmed yet. So, and this little micro trend seems to kind of be holding. It looks like you may have an overshoot, but I think it's a bit risky. It does drop lower. This is basically a double top here. So you get a first entry long, second entry long, failure right at that resistance level. So I think that one's decent. Pushes way lower. Get this uptrend, break new high. Pushes lower here. I wouldn't take either of these. They're just kind of in no man's land. Ends up pushing lower. First entries, all of the new lows. We come up here. This is basically it. Looks like a double bottom. You could see this as the second entry, but bouncing at that relative support area here, I would be cautious of considering this trade right here. Bar's not all that great after a huge bullish bar as well. So if you saw this as a second entry after somewhat of a double bottom, I think this one's decent. It's really a triple test. That's the main play here. So yeah, that one works nicely just off that resistance. Notice how this one's a little bit more in the middle, not quite at that resistance level yet. So it pushes lower, it works nicely, chops lower, turns over into this range here. I don't see much through here on this chart. Get this second entry here. This one's kind of tempting, but kind of congested. And then same situation here, you get the lower high, and then the failure here. But on this chart, it just looks a lot more congested, so not quite as obvious. If you took that one, I get it. It was nicer on that primary chart. And that key entry point's holding still as well. On this chart, this golden channel wasn't quite as obvious because it came up just a little bit short here. Ends up being a little bit wider. So pushes lower. Back up to the support, or back up from the support. You get the second entry short here. Just closes right in the EMA with a possible key entry point here. So don't like that one quite as much. Nice bar, but you know, just a bit riskier. Comes lower, you get a failure here, but right into the support, pushes way lower. We come down here and we get a first entry short, second entry short. There's a little micro trend in play, but after this big move, it's probably going to retest. It did back up a little bit from that EMA, so it makes it a bit riskier, but I think that one's still okay to take on such a bearish day. It works, pushes lower. You get a like a third entry here, nothing here. It's like a fourth entry. Pushes off that key entry point again. You get a lower high, but just such a massive bar. I'd wait and see if you get something better. It does work, pushes way lower. And now we're just chopping sideways here at the support level. Pushes higher. You get this set up here, but after this large move, I'd probably want to wait. It also looks like you have an overshoot from this now. It does push up one more time. We come back. We get this failure here, but looks congested on here. Then you get the lower high. I marked it orange because I think it closed too low. It's a massive bar, so you know, tempting off the key entry point like that, but I think it's just a bit too risky. You know, the bar is good at taking engulfing, but the problem is you got so much congestion before. I wouldn't want to do that. So it drops lower, pushes up, break, couple legs up. You get a break from this larger channel now. Also get a higher high on the range. It drops lower. You get a failure here, but wrong side of the EMA. It's also near this other local support resistance level, so I'd wait. Drops lower, ends up confirming this little bit wider variant of the key entry point or trend channel rather than something tighter like this. And you come back, you get this little failed breakout from the congestion. It's also a second entry short after the first break of this trend channel right here. So you're going to expect a new low on that. Really sweet trade. That one works nicely. Bounce at the support level again. Get this lower high, but trend channel's in play. Pushes higher. And you get this same triple top, but the bar's not as great on this chart, so I wouldn't take that on this one. So yeah, several good setups today. Hope you guys call some good ones. Really a fun trading day overall. Kind of difficult to find this channel, just because it ended up being such a wider variant than the initial swings would have led you to believe. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed that. Have a great day, and we'll see y'all next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.